Okay, in this video, what we are going to do is we are going to mount our yupo onto something to paint with. So I find that when you're painting with yupo, of course it's like any other paper, it's bendable. And even sometimes the heat from your fingers underneath when you're painting, it can cause issues and it can cause kind of where it doesn't flow very well on the paper. So I'm going to show you two ways to mount your yupo really quickly here. This is only going to be a minute or so, this video. We're going to do we're going to use cradle board, which is my favorite. So I use a cheap cradle board here. And it's obviously stained with all the times that I've used it. And what I do is I just take some green painter's tape. Is always a good one because it's cheap. And just run it along the edges here. Okay, and some over here, like this. I have a nice straight piece of yupo paper. When I first started, this was not a straight piece. This was kind of a scrap piece, but now I have a straight piece, and what I like to do is I like to make sure it's bigger than the 5x7 area. So I'm just going to grab a 5x7 mat so you can see that it's going to be a larger surface area to paint on. Okay, so you can see that this 5x7 mat area has some space around it. This gives me some leeway when I'm painting with the yupo. Usually there's some messy edges that happen with your yupo paper, so it's actually better to paint with a larger piece than what you're going to have your finished product so that you have those clean edges on there. I'll bring a painting that has an example on it. So this painting here is larger than the 5x7 area. So you can see that there's some junk around the edges, stuff that doesn't really look great. And so I can take all that off by just using that smaller area. So yeah, then you have these perfect edges that stop and it's nice and clean. If you do not have a cradle board, you can use a piece of cardboard. Sometimes I'll even rip the cardboard from the back of my paper pads and I'll use that. And what you can do, once again, this is a very uneven piece that I'm trying to show you how it's really good to have a perfectly square piece to work with on as far as the cardboard is concerned, because then I can line the painter's tape up and turn it into a nice square piece. So once again, we've taken a mismatched piece and we've made it into a perfect rectangle, square rectangle, whatever. Corners that are perfect, and that's what we want. And once again, taking that 5x7 matting, you can see that I have some space on either side so that I'm able to paint my picture. And this way, when I'm doing some fluid work and I'm moving things around, I'm not touching my paper. I can work on my paper, I can take my little paintbrush and I can move it around and I can move things around. So that is how you prepare your yupo for painting.